Today on our 2018 Ford Edge, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style base plate kit with removable arms. This is what our base plate is going to look like when it's installed. It's going to be one of 5 main components in a flat toe setup. The other 4 are going to be your wiring, your braking system, your safety cables, and your tow bar. What our base plate is going to do, it's going to give us a solid connection point between our tow bar on our motorhome and our vehicle to safely flat tow it. It's going to come with the brackets. It's going to have a spring-loaded pin. It's going to lock it in place. You'll slide it in until it depresses the pin, turn it until the pin snaps into place. To pull it out, you simply pull the ring, twist, and you can remove. To maintain a nice clean look on the front of the vehicle. Here we have our safety chain loops. We're going to have 2 pre-welded rods for our diode wiring kit to be mounted. We're also going to have a pre-welded bracket for our breakaway switch on our braking system. It is going to be compatible with quick disconnects and all Roadmaster tow bars. As far as the installation goes, it's a pretty simple installation. In my opinion, taking the fascia off is going to be more demanding than actually putting the base plate on. You are going to have to drill a small hole on each side, and you're going to have to do some trimming on the fascia. Other than that, it's going to come with all necessary hardware to get it installed, except one thing. It is going to require to use red Loctite on all of your hardware. And the red Loctite is not going to be included with your base plate installation kit. To start our installation, we're going to have some pushpin fasteners on this top cover here we need to remove. You can see a little gap there. We're just going to pry up the center. And then we're going to pull out the center and the base together. We're going to do that with the remaining ones on top of this cover. And we'll just set this cover aside. Next, we're going to take a 10mm socket. We're going to remove the 6 bolts that run across the top of our grill here. Next, on the inside of each wheel well liner, we're going to take a 5.5mm socket and you're going to remove the 6 bolts. Next, we need to remove this lower panel on the bottom side of our fascia. We're going to have a couple different style bolts. We're going to have 5.5mm bolts. We're going to have a couple of 7mm bolts. And we're going to have a couple of pushpin fasteners we need to remove to get this off. And then we're going to set this aside. Next, on the inside where our fender attached to our front fascia, we're going to have 3 8mm head bolts. They're going to run from here up. I'm going to take some tape. This is just to protect our paint. I'm going to go right along this edge so that while we're taking our fascia off, if it makes contact, we're not going to have to worry about scratching it. Like that. And once we get it off, we'll throw a piece on the edge also on our fascia. When we start taking off our fascia, we're going to have some wires that we need to pull off, or we need to separate. We're going to have our fog lights, our sensor bar wire, and then if your vehicle is equipped with the sprayer, which is right here, we're going to have to unhook that hose also. So don't just take your fascia and pull it off. Those are things we're going to have to disconnect. We'll start on the outside. Just pull down like that. We're going to go ahead and throw me a couple pieces of tape on here and on that edge. Now we'll start pulling our fascia off. I have a plug here. We're going to have a plug here. I'm going to have a couple of plugs right down here. There. This is going to be my sprayer hose. I'm going to disconnect it from my fascia and just pull the hose off of our little clamps here. You can use a flathead screwdriver and those should be able to pop those right off or open just like that. As far as this, it's got like a little clamp. Just going to pry it open and pull it off like that. Next, we need to trim off these pads. You can see where I have the yellow line here. We're just taking off the ends. We're going to do this on both sides. I'm going to use a Dremel tool. It's pretty flexible plastic. If you didn't have a Dremel tool, a utility knife would probably work. Next, we need to cut off our louver housing. If you have louvers, you need to take out the bottom two. If you don't have louvers like we have here, you can see how I have it marked. On our driver's side, this whole section is going to be coming out, and our passenger side is going to be just a little bit different. Next, we're going to take a 10mm socket, and we're going to take the two bolts off for the bottom of our radiator support. We're going to do this on both sides. Next, we're going to take a 1/2" drill bit. This hole right here on our subframe, it comes down through the bottom. We need to open it up to a 1/2". So we're going to push our radiator support out of the way, and we're going to go straight up from the bottom, right through the existing holes. We're going to do that on both sides. Next, we're going to put on our shim plates. You notice there's a slight bend. You want the bend to be facing up. We're going to set it on top of our frame rail and our bumper core. We want the hole to be in this outside corner. You'll notice there's a wider side, and this one's kind of shaped a little different. This has got to be on top of your bumper core. So just like that. I have a large U-bolt. And make sure you use red Loctite on all of your hardware. We do that same thing to the other side. We'll take our main receiver brace. We're going to line our U-bolt up with the two holes on the top plate. We're going to take these lock nuts. They're going to have little dimples in the side, so you know you're using the right ones. We'll get one in on each side. Help hold the base plate in place, or receiver brace, while we install our remaining hardware. Next, we're going to take a 1/2" flat washer, looks like this, place it over the hole. We're going to take our 1/2" by 4" bolt. We're going to go down through the hole we drilled, and then through the hole in the main receiver brace. Like that. And on the very bottom, lock washer and nut. Again, you want to make sure that you are using Loctite on your hardware. We're going to do that same thing to the other side. Next, we'll take a 3/4" socket. We're going to tighten and then torque our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. When you're tightening and torquing your U-bolts, just make sure, because it's a U-bolt, you go back and forth so it's not uneven. You can go ahead and put up your radiator core support or reinstall your bolts. It's a good idea that if you're adding any diode wiring or maybe a braking system, to install that now before you put the fascia back in place. Keep in mind it will require some fascia trimming for reinstallation. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style base plate kit with removable arms on our 2018 Ford Edge.